I couldn't even process how things got so out of hand, but there I was, backed up against the door, and he was right in front of me with a look in his eyes that just took my breath away. Before I tell you what happened next, subscribe and hit that like button. You won't believe how this story ends. My name is Jessica, and 5 years ago I became a stepmom to my husband's son from his first marriage. We barely spoke and lived totally separate lives, but that night he came home early. I was in a thin robe cooking in the kitchen, and I didn't even notice he was there until I heard a quiet, "You're alone," from behind me. I turned around and our eyes met. There was something new in his gaze. Not a hint of that usual boyish awkwardness, just confidence and a strange kind of warmth. I tried to play it off with a joke, but he took a step closer. His movements were slow, and with each one I could feel my heart pounding. He stopped so close to me that I could feel his breath. And suddenly it hit me. This wasn't going to be a normal night. He grabbed a mug from the shelf and poured himself some tea, acting like nothing was happening. But his eyes kept coming back to me, following my every move, my hair, my face. I tried to keep busy rearranging plates, checking the oven, but every little thing felt like it was happening in slow motion. He sat down at the table, leaned back in his chair, and quietly said, "You know, I've always thought you were too beautiful for this place." I let out a nervous laugh, trying to brush it off as a joke, but my voice wavered. He got up, walked to the window, stared out at the street for a moment, and then just pulled the blinds shut. The kitchen went dim. All I could hear was the ticking of the clock. I felt him approach again, step by step. And with each step, it was like all those years of distance between us just melted away. He stopped so close that I could feel the faint warmth from his shoulder. He reached out, gently took the spoon from my fingers, placed it on the table, and slowly brushed a strand of hair from my face. His fingers lingered just a moment too long, and the touch sent a shiver through me. He was staring directly into my eyes, not blinking. And in that gaze, there was so much challenge and a quiet intensity that I found myself holding my breath. He leaned in a little closer, as if testing how much I would let him, and I knew all my resistance was just dissolving. Outside, the light was fading, but inside the air felt thicker and warmer than usual. His voice was soft but firm. "We're not pretending tonight." My heart started to race and I took a step back, but he instantly closed the gap, pressing me softly against the edge of the counter. His hand slid along my waist, as if exploring every curve. And I no longer knew which was stronger, the urge to pull away or to stay right there. He didn't say much, but every word felt like it was getting under my skin, echoing in my head and making it impossible to think. His breath was warm on my neck, and the silence in the house made every move feel louder than it should have been. I caught myself waiting for the next moment and fearing it at the same time, as if I were balancing on a ledge with no way back. His fingers tightened slightly on my waist, and he leaned in so close I could feel his lips just inches from mine. He paused, not touching, but the tension was enough to make me lose my breath. His other hand slowly slid down my back, pulling me closer. I heard him whisper my name, and it sounded almost like a promise. Our eyes met again, and in that instant, there was nothing left but the desire we had both been hiding for too long. I barely had a moment to process what was happening when he finally took the one step that made the whole world disappear. His lips met mine softly, but with a kind of hidden force, as if he was only halfway holding back. And from that, everything inside me just ignited. His hand moved lower, pulling me against him until there was no space left between us. I could feel his breathing grow heavier, as if he was reading my every movement and responding with his own. The world outside had already gone completely dark, but in the kitchen, we stood as if time had stopped. All that mattered was this night, pulling us deeper in. He turned me around and gently sat me on the edge of the counter, his hands gripping my thighs. His gaze swept over my face, as if he were memorizing every detail. I felt his knees touch mine as he slowly leaned in even closer, his eyes never leaving mine. His voice was a quiet whisper, but it sent shivers down my spine. "I'm not letting you go tonight." And he said it with so much conviction that I stopped even trying to resist. Inside, Everything was already burning with anticipation for what was to come. His hand slid up my thighs, lingering for a moment as if checking my reaction, and I instinctively leaned toward him. He bent down and his lips brushed against my neck, leaving a warm trail. My breathing became ragged. I could hear him quietly whispering something, but the meaning was lost in the roaring in my head. His hands held me tighter, pulling me closer. It felt like we had both forgotten where we ended and what we had been holding back for so long began. He lifted his head, and our eyes met again. This time there was no doubt in his gaze, only a fierce resolve and a burning desire. In one swift motion, he pulled me flush against him so our breaths mingled, his hands gripping me tightly in place. His fingers dug into my skin slightly, as if he was afraid to let go, and I felt it, my heart beating in sync with his. Outside, the darkness was thick, but inside, everything felt lit by the heat of our closeness. There was nothing left now but the two of us. His lips found mine again, this time hungry and all-consuming, as if he were taking everything we had been hiding for so long. His hand slid up my back, pulling me even closer. I could feel the heat from his body completely enveloping me. Our breathing grew heavier, his movements more confident. It was like he knew every one of my reactions in advance and was guiding them. Outside, the wind was blowing dust down the street, but in that house, everything was focused on a single rhythm, a single point where we knew we couldn't stop. He lifted me with a swift, confident motion and sat me down on the table. His hands gripped my thighs, pressing me to him as if he were afraid to lose this moment. He leaned in closer, his hot breath brushing my cheek. His eyes held mine, never letting go. His fingers slid up, tracing every curve. In that moment, the entire world shrank to just the two of us, to this table, to this night that we could no longer stop. The wood beneath me gave a quiet creak. His hands were gripping my thighs, pulling me to him as if he had no intention of letting go for a single second. He leaned in closer, his hot breath brushing my skin, and his gaze held me tight, never letting go. His fingers slid slowly upward, tracing every curve. In that moment, the entire world narrowed down to just the two of us, to this table, to this night that we couldn't possibly stop. His palms rested on my waist, and he pulled me even closer until our bodies were completely touching. I could hear his breathing grow heavy and his heart beat fast. His lips found my neck, leaving warm touches that made shivers run down my skin. His hands held me with a sure grip, as if they remembered every curve. He lifted his head, meeting my eyes again. In them was that same feeling we had both been hiding for so long, and now it had broken free and wasn't about to stop. His hands moved higher, holding me tight, and he leaned in so close that I felt his lips touch the corner of mine, lingering for a moment before he kissed me with a hunger I hadn't expected. He moved with confidence, as if he knew exactly what I wanted, and with every second he pulled me closer. His fingers slid up my back, leaving a warm trail. His breathing became hot and fast, and the air was thick with a tension that made my heart pound so hard I couldn't think of anything but him. He pulled back slightly, his eyes slowly tracing my face, then moving lower. There was so much power in his gaze that everything inside me tightened with anticipation. His hands returned to my thighs, his fingers gripping them firmly. Pulling me closer, he leaned in. His lips moved from my neck to my shoulder, leaving warm and hungry touches. My breathing became ragged, and his movements were insistent. Outside, everything was silent, and it felt like the world had disappeared. There was only us in this moment, and we weren't about to let it go. He lifted his head, and our eyes met. His held a desire he was no longer going to hide. One hand wrapped around my back while the other confidently traced the line of my hip. His touches became deeper and more daring. He pulled me so close that there wasn't an inch of space left between us. His lips found mine again. This time the kiss was long, warm, and hungry, and his fingers moving slowly seemed to be teasing me, not giving me a second's break. His hands slid lower, holding me tightly on the table. He leaned me back slightly, his lips moving hungrily to my neck, leaving a trail of hot touches that made me hold my breath. He moved slowly, as if stretching out every second and enjoying my reactions. His fingers slid confidently against my skin, and in his movements, there was a power and a desire that made the world around me disappear, leaving only the boundaries of his arms. He lifted his head, his gaze becoming even deeper and more intense. One hand slid down my back, pulling me so close that I was almost lying on the table. His other hand held my hips with a firm grip, not allowing me to pull away. His lips covered mine again. The kiss was hot and hungry, and our breaths mingled. I could feel him completely in control of my every move. His fingers explored me slowly but insistently, and the air was so thick with tension it felt like the night would never end. His arms wrapped around me tighter. He lifted me slightly and pulled me toward him so that our bodies moved together as one. His lips slid from mine to the line of my jaw, then lower, leaving a hot trail. My breathing became heavy and ragged. He whispered my name as if it were both a confession and a challenge. His fingers moved confidently up my back, while his other hand held me in place, not letting me go. I felt the tension between us become almost unbearable, with every second pulling us deeper. Suddenly, I heard footsteps in the hallway, and my heart stopped for a second. The door creaked open and my husband walked in. I felt his hands freeze for a moment, but he just pulled me closer, putting a finger to his lips to tell me to be quiet. We froze, listening to my husband looking for something in the next room. Then the sound of his footsteps faded. He leaned into my ear and whispered barely audibly, "Don't stop." And in that same second, his lips covered mine again. His movements became even more cautious, but that only made the tension grow stronger. Every touch was slow, deep, and forbidden. His lips slid down to my neck, and I barely held back a moan. He whispered hoarsely, "Are you trying to drive me crazy?" His hands gripped my thighs with a firm hold. Pulling me closer, he added, "I couldn't stop even if I wanted to." His hot breath burned my skin. He trailed his fingers down my back, leaning in so close that I could feel every movement of his body. "Tell me you want this as much as I do." His voice was quiet but held a fierce power. He kissed me deeply and hungrily again, and I knew I couldn't escape this moment. His fingers tightened on my waist. He whispered right against my lips, "You're mine, do you hear me? Now and forever." His gaze pierced through me, leaving no chance to hide. He slowly moved his hand up my thigh, adding in a low, almost growling voice, "I'll take you in a way that makes you forget his touch." His lips found mine again, and the kiss became even hungrier. Our breaths mingled, and his hands held me as if he wanted to leave his mark on every inch of my skin. He pressed me harder against the table, his hot breath burning my neck as he whispered quietly but with an iron will, "Don't you dare pull away now. I want you to remember this night for the rest of your life." His fingers slid down my back, then up again, pulling me even closer. His lips moved slowly, teasing, leaving a wet trail. He looked into my eyes again and added, "Do you feel how much I want you? This is going to last all night." His arms wrapped around me tighter, and he leaned me back slightly, his lips moving hungrily from my neck toward my chest, leaving a trail of hot touches that took my breath away. He looked up, stared directly into my eyes, and whispered hoarsely, "Tell me you're all mine." His fingers held me with a firm grip, giving me no chance to pull away. Every move he made was slow but dominant, and it only made the desire burn hotter, turning this moment into a sinfully sweet punishment. He pressed me close enough that I could feel his every breath. His lips found mine again in a deep, demanding kiss. His hands held my hips tightly, not letting me move. He whispered with a slight smirk, "Now you won't leave, even if you want to." His fingers slid slowly, teasingly against my skin, as if testing how far he could go. Our breathing grew heavy, and his eyes held a dangerous mix of desire and control that left me unable to think or resist. He suddenly lifted me slightly so our faces were level. His gaze burned right through me, and his voice was low and husky. "You have no idea what you're doing to me right now." He ran his palm along my cheek, then slowly down to my neck. His fingers wrapped around it tightly, but without pain, only to emphasize his control. "Look at me. I want to see your every reaction." His lips covered mine with such hunger that the whole world vanished, and his hands moved confidently over my body, as if claiming it completely. He pulled me even closer, until there wasn't a millimeter of space left between us. His hand rested confidently on my lower back, while the other slid up, gripping my shoulder. He whispered hotly in my ear, "I want you to remember my every move, every single one." His breath was heavy and warm. His lips found my neck again, leaving wet, hungry marks. His fingers slid slowly down my back, then gripped my hips tightly, holding me completely in his power. In that moment, it felt like the whole world stood still, making way for this unbelievably sweet night. He slowly ran his hand along my side, his fingers outlining every curve, then gripped my hips tightly and pulled me so close I could feel his strength in every move. His voice was quiet, but with an intensity that made everything inside me tighten. "You're mine, and tonight I'm going to prove it to you." His lips covered mine again. The kiss was long, deep, and demanding. His breath burned against me, and his hands gave me no chance to break free, completely surrendering me to the rhythm he was setting. He turned me around, leaning me forward slightly. His palms moved with certainty to my waist and locked on my hips, pulling me to him. His hot breath brushed against my ear, and he whispered hoarsely, "Now you'll feel every single second." His lips found my neck, leaving a wet trail. His fingers moved slowly but insistently against my skin, as if erasing all boundaries, and his movements became more confident and demanding, leaving no doubt who was in complete control. He pressed me tighter to him, his arms wrapped around my body so I was completely his captive. His lips slid from my neck to my shoulder, lingering on every inch. He said quietly but with a clear dominance, "Obey me, and I'll give you everything you crave." His fingers tightened on my hips. His movements became slow but so intense that every touch sent a shiver through my body. He controlled the rhythm, playing with my breathing, and I felt like I no longer belonged to myself. He lifted my face, forcing me to look directly into his eyes, which held a dark fire. His voice became even lower and huskier. "Look at me. I want to see you lose yourself with every touch." His palm slid from my neck down to my collarbone, slowly tracing its outline. His other hand held my waist tightly, not letting me move. He kissed me again, but this time slowly, deeply, stretching out every second. This only intensified the desire, turning the moment into an unbearably sweet wait for the next step. His lips left mine for just a moment. He trailed his nose along my cheek and whispered quietly, "You have no idea how badly I want you right now." His hand slid slowly down my back, gripping my hips so I could feel the full force of his hold. He pressed himself against me again, making my body respond to his every move. His hot breath burned against my ear, and his teasingly slow fingers explored every curve, as if he wanted to memorize every last detail. He pulled me even closer until our bodies were completely one. His lips covered mine in a long, demanding kiss. His hands held me firmly, giving me no chance to break free. He said quietly but with a hard edge, "Now you're all mine." His fingers slid up my waist, tracing every curve. Our breathing became hot and fast, and his movements, though slow, were so intense that the entire world disappeared, leaving us alone with this forbidden, burning closeness. He lifted me onto the edge of the table. His hands held my hips tightly, not letting me move back an inch. His hot breath burned against my neck as he whispered hoarsely, "I'm going to have all of you with nothing held back." His lips slid down, leaving greedy, wet marks. His fingers slowly but surely explored every curve, and his gaze, full of fierce desire, told me he had no intention of letting me go for a second that night. His movements became even more insistent. He wrapped his arms around my waist, pulling me to him so I could feel every bit of tension in his body. His lips found mine again. The kiss was deep, holding back just enough. He whispered with a feverish intensity, "You're going to drive me crazy tonight." His hand slid up my back and then back down again, gripping my hips tightly. He was setting a rhythm that made my heart beat faster and my breathing become ragged and hot. He tilted me back slightly, holding my waist with one hand. The other moved confidently down my thigh, gripping it so tightly I could barely hold back a moan. His gaze was dark and hungry. His lips found my neck again, leaving hot, wet marks. He whispered in a low, dominant voice, "Tonight, you belong only to me, and I'm not letting you go until dawn." His movements grew slower but even more teasing, and every second stretched out, filled with a tension that threatened to break loose. He lifted my face by the chin, forcing me to look directly into his eyes, and said with a raspy smirk, "Remember this. I'll always be the first person you feel and the last one you want." His lips covered mine in a kiss full of dominance and hunger. His hands held my hips tightly, pulling me closer. He slowly ran his fingers down my back, then, without letting go, pressed me against him so our breaths mingled. In that moment, it felt like the entire world vanished, leaving only the two of us in this unbearably sweet tension. He wrapped both arms around me, holding me so tight it was as if he wanted to melt me into himself. His lips were hungry, covering mine deeply. Our breaths became hot and ragged. He whispered right into my ear, "Now you're mine forever." His movements became decisive and powerful. He didn't let go for a single second until we both lost track of time, merging into one rhythm where there was no past or future, only this night and a forbidden, all-consuming desire.